My sister-in-law hosted a wives' wine night. I got there, and everyone was wearing matching shirts that said Real Housewives of. Mine wasn't there. She smiled and said, "We didn't know if you'd come." I said, "Funny, that's what I was hoping for from this event." I never imagined that a simple wine night could unravel so much. When my sister-in-law, Jessica, organized a wives' wine night and deliberately excluded me from the matching Real Housewives of last name shirts, it became clear that there were deeper issues at play. This is the story of how a seemingly trivial event led to a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. It all began with a group text from Jessica. "Hey ladies, wives wine night at my place this Friday. Can't wait to see everyone." I hesitated but decided to attend. After all, I was part of the family, right? I arrived at Jessica's house, bottle of wine in hand, and was greeted by a sea of matching shirts that read Real Housewives of last name. Everyone had one, except me. Jessica smiled and said, "We didn't know if you'd come." I replied, "Funny, that's what I was hoping for from this event." As the night went on, I felt increasingly out of place. The conversations, the inside jokes, the matching outfits, it was clear I was an outsider. I left early, feeling hurt and excluded. That night, I decided I wouldn't let their exclusion define me. I started focusing on myself, my interests, my passions, my happiness. I joined a local book club, started painting again, and even took a solo trip to the mountains. Over the next few months, I transformed. I lost weight, gained confidence, and found a new sense of purpose. I started a blog about self-discovery and empowerment, which gained a following. I was no longer the outsider, I was thriving. At the next family gathering, the same women who excluded me were now curious about my transformation. Jessica approached me and said, "You've changed." I smiled and replied, "Yes, I have." I realized that their exclusion had been a blessing in disguise. It pushed me to focus on myself and find happiness within. I no longer sought their approval, I had found my own. I continued to grow, both personally and professionally. My blog turned into a podcast, and I began speaking at events about self-empowerment. I had turned a painful experience into a platform to help others. Looking back, I realized that the wine night was a turning point. It forced me to confront my insecurities and take control of my life. I was no longer the woman who felt excluded. I was a woman who had found her voice. To anyone who feels excluded or undervalued, know that you have the power to change your narrative. Focus on yourself, find your passions, and surround yourself with those who uplift you. You are worthy, and you are enough. About a week after that awkward wine night, I kept thinking about the shirts. It wasn't just a fashion choice. It was a message. A message that said, "You're not one of us." Jessica had always been the golden daughter-in-law. Her house looked like something out of HGTV. Her kids were in 3 sports each. Her Instagram was a curated highlight reel. I never cared much for that stuff, but that night, being the only one without a shirt, it hit me. This was on purpose. And then I found out just how intentional it really was. I only found out because one of the other wives, Rachel, accidentally texted me a screenshot. It was meant for someone else, but it landed in our private family group chat. In it, Jessica wrote, "She won't show up anyway. But I'm not wasting money on someone who doesn't fit the vibe. Real Housewives of last name doesn't need an outsider energy." Outsider energy. That one hit me like a punch in the gut. I didn't say anything in the chat. Nobody did. They just let it sit there. The screenshot was quietly deleted 10 minutes later, and Jessica never mentioned it. But I saved it. The next Sunday, we all met at my in-laws' house for dinner. A big backyard barbecue like we used to do. Jessica smiled at me like nothing had happened. But this time, I smiled back. I had a plan. Dinner was fine until it wasn't. My husband's brother made some joke about matching shirts, and everyone laughed. I didn't. I waited. Then I looked at Jessica and said, "You know what's funny? That group text about my outsider energy. I saved it, by the way." Her face dropped. The whole table went quiet. My husband's mother looked confused. His dad pretended not to hear. Jessica's husband muttered, "Oh boy." Jessica tried to laugh it off. "Come on, it was just a silly comment. We didn't think you'd take it seriously." I said, "So seriously you made shirts and left me out?" "Yeah, I took it seriously." Jessica's smile cracked. She didn't have a comeback. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't the outsider anymore. They were just cowards hiding behind fake smiles and matching t-shirts. The rest of dinner was tense. Nobody said much. Afterward, Jessica unfollowed me on Instagram. Her best friend unfriended me on Facebook. Little digital hits. It was petty and obvious. Then came the real blow. My husband got a message from Jessica's husband. It said maybe I was too much and too sensitive to be at family events. That it was best if we cooled things for a while. Cooled things? I was livid. My husband, to his credit, stood up for me. But I saw it in his eyes. He hated being in the middle. So I stepped out of the middle for him. I wrote a letter. A real one. Printed on paper and everything. I mailed it to Jessica. Here's what it said. "You don't have to like me. But don't mistake your cruelty for class. I saw what you did. I heard what you said. And I'm not pretending anymore. I'm not staying quiet so you can stay comfortable. We're not friends, and we never were. But I'm done playing the outsider. You've made it clear who you are. Now I'm going to show you who I am." I kept doing me. My blog started picking up. I wrote about exclusion, about pettiness, about family that wounds you with smiles. The posts went viral in small circles. I started getting messages from other women, moms, wives, daughters-in-law, who had been through similar things. One woman in Florida told me her sister-in-law made everyone wear white to a party except her. Another got uninvited to family Christmas because she asked too many questions. I wasn't alone. Then I did something bold. I threw my own party. Not just any party, a wine night. But I called it the Real Outsiders of Everywhere. I made shirts too. Black, not pink. Gold letters. And every woman there wore one. And guess what? We laughed. We told stories. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I had to prove I belonged. Yep. She came. Not to the party, of course. But she drove by. Someone told me they saw her car. She never came to the door, never texted. But she saw the pictures online. She saw the shirts. She saw the hashtag trending in our little town. She knew. That family barbecue? It's been 6 months since I got invited to one. But this time, my mother-in-law called. She said she wanted to talk. That maybe things had gone too far. And I said, I'm listening. Because maybe this isn't about revenge anymore. Maybe it's about change. But not for them. For me. 2 weeks after my talk with my mother-in-law, I got a message from someone I didn't expect, Rachel. The same Rachel who had accidentally sent me the screenshot. I hadn't spoken to her since the night of the shirts. She wrote, "Hey, I owe you an apology. I saw how they treated you and I didn't say anything, but I've been thinking about it ever since. I just wanted you to know that I wasn't okay with it either. I didn't respond right away. But when I did, I kept it honest. Thank you. It meant a lot that you sent the screenshot, even if it was an accident. I wish someone had said something that night." I felt invisible. She messaged back, "You weren't invisible. You were just outnumbered. Big difference." That line stayed with me. Rachel invited me to coffee. I went. And that's when she told me something wild. Apparently, this wasn't the first time Jessica had pulled something like this. She'd done similar stunts with another sister-in-law before I joined the family. Passive exclusion, forgetting to invite someone, twisting group chats to pit people against each other. She plays the long game, Rachel said. Makes it look like it's just a joke. Then you're the drama if you call it out. And here I thought I was the only one. Turns out Jessica had a pattern, and no one ever pushed back. After coffee with Rachel, I got another surprise. My father-in-law called me. He never called me directly. Ever. He asked if we could meet. Just me and him. I said sure. We sat on his porch. He looked tired. More tired than I'd ever seen him. I think it's time I tell you something, he said. This family has swept a lot of things under the rug. I've let it happen because I didn't want to cause waves. But I saw what happened at the wine night. And I saw how you handled it. And I admire that. I didn't know what to say. Then he added, I'm going to ask the whole family to meet next Sunday. All of us. I think we need to talk, really talk. Not just pretend everything is fine. That Sunday happened. We met at their house. It was awkward. You could feel the tension like static in the air. Jessica came in late, sunglasses on. She barely said a word. My father-in-law cleared his throat and said, we've been treating each other like strangers. And I take responsibility for letting it get this far. He turned to Jessica. You owe her an apology. She laughed. You're taking her side now? He said calmly, I'm taking the side of what's right. Jessica exploded. She stood up, pointed at me, and said, she's manipulative. She's making herself the victim. Everyone's falling for it. I said nothing. I didn't need to. Then Rachel spoke. No, Jessica. We all saw what you did. We just didn't want to deal with it. That's on us. But she's not the problem. You are. Jessica stormed out. After that, everything split wide open. Some family members sided with her. Others didn't. The group chat fell apart. People started having separate gatherings. I stayed quiet. I didn't need to campaign for support. I had already made peace with what happened. And now the truth was out. But there was still one big twist to come. A few months later, my husband's grandfather passed away. It was expected he'd been sick for a while. We all gathered at the lawyer's office to hear the will. What no one expected was this. He'd left a large donation in my name. Not my husband's. Not my kids'. Mine. To the one in the family who speaks when others go silent, the note said. Use this to help other women who felt left out, overlooked, or unheard. I see you. Jessica was furious. But for once, I didn't feel petty. I felt powerful. And I knew this story wasn't over. After the will was read, everything turned to chaos. Jessica refused to speak to anyone for weeks. Her husband started dodging family events. Her perfect Instagram life started to show cracks. Less posts, no smiling selfies, just silence. But she wasn't done. She started a rumor. She told people I'd manipulated her grandfather before he died. That I somehow convinced him to leave me the money. It was ugly. Petty. But worse, some people believed it. Even my own husband asked, did he ever mention it to you? And for a second, I hated him for even asking. But I understood. We were all caught in this mess. I called Jessica. Told her we needed to talk face to face. We met at a diner. Neutral ground. She came in already fuming. I didn't let her talk first. I know what you said. And I'm telling you now, if you keep pushing this, I'll release the texts. All of them. Not just the shirt comment. The ones about your own sisters-in-law. The one where you called your cousin's kid a crying gremlin. Remember that? She went pale. I leaned in. You made this game. But I'm done playing it nice. She tried to call my bluff. I posted one screenshot that night. Just one. By morning, she lost 2 brand deals and 3 momfluencer collabs. Sponsors didn't want that kind of energy attached to their brand. Comments poured in under her pictures. People asking why she was so fake. Why she bullied people. She turned off all comments. But revenge doesn't come clean. That moment with my husband? It stuck with me. He started pulling away. Not in a dramatic way, just little things. More late nights at work. Less touching. More quiet dinners. One night, I asked him if he was mad I kept the screenshots. He said no. I'm mad you became her. And that hit harder than anything Jessica ever did. It wasn't a dramatic breakup. It was slow. We both knew it. We weren't talking the same language anymore. We had grown in different directions. He moved out 2 months later. told me he needed to figure out who he was outside of all this drama. I didn't fight him. I had been so focused on getting even, I didn't notice the foundation cracking under my feet. I wrote one last post. I said, I started this blog because I was hurt, and I found strength. But somewhere along the way, I confused strength with revenge. I exposed someone who deserved to be called out. But I didn't stop there. I wanted her destroyed, and that cost me my marriage, my peace, and some of my soul. The post blew up. Half the people praised me. The other half said I had gone too far. They were both right. Jessica didn't recover. She stayed offline for months. Her friendships faded. Her husband filed for divorce quietly. It was messy. She ended up moving back in with her parents. I heard she started working part-time at a floral shop. No more brand deals. No more wine nights. And honestly, I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel bad either. It just was what it was. A year after the Wives' Wine Night, I hosted another event. This time, it wasn't petty. It was a fundraiser for women's shelters. I wore a shirt that said, "Real women help each other." Rachel came. So did a few others from the original group. We laughed. We remembered. We moved forward. My ex-husband came by to drop off something for our daughter. He looked at me and said, "You really changed." I said, "So did you." We weren't angry anymore. Just finished. And that's the thing about revenge. You think it'll feel good. You think it'll fix things. But in the end, all it really does is burn the ground where you once stood.